Good day, Virgin Islanders, at home and abroad. I trust that you had a restful weekend and hope that all is well with you. To date, we've had 780 individuals tested for the COVID-19 virus in the territory. 716 of those tests came back negative, 59 positive, and we've had 5 tests pending at this point. 51 of the 59 people have recovered, which means that we are currently tracking 4 active cases in the territory, and regrettably, we have recorded the 4th fatality. It is a solemn reminder that the virus continues to be a clear and ever-present danger in our community. The deceased is a 67-year-old female resident of St. Croix who died in her home. She tested positive for COVID after her passing. We regrettably give our condolences to her and her family and all her loved ones and friends. She was never in the hospital at any time. We discovered this post-mortem, as I said earlier. There are no COVID-19 patients hospitalized at either of our hospitals. And we just want to remind the public that if you're feeling symptoms of fever, shortness of breath, you have a dry cough or fatigue, especially if you've recently traveled into the territory or been around someone who may have been exposed to the COVID virus, please call the Department of Health hotline numbers. Those numbers are 712-6299 for St. Croix and 776-1519 for those of you in the St. Thomas, St. John districts. Remember, there is no stigma around calling and getting tested. If you feel that you may be sick, you have these symptoms, please call in so we can give you the tests and get you the care that you need in order to make it through this. There are no COVID patients, as I said, in any of our hospitalized, so make sure if you're feeling these symptoms, as I said, 712-6299, 776-1519. I'm joined today by the Commissioner of Health, as usual, to answer any questions that you may have around this recent fatality or anything health-related. We continue to take the measures to mitigate against the economic fallout of COVID. Our VI Department of Labor has been working tirelessly to get the checks out, aggressively pushing them out for unemployment. So far, they have issued 1,595, so just about 1,600 checks totaling $1,110,365. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have allocated the $15.5 million to provide relief to your electrical bill. The customers will begin to see this roll out as the Yes CARES Act, your economic stimulus. You will start to see that credit as a new billing cycle starts on Saturday, May 2nd. This credit of this stimulus will be provided at $250 for residential customers and $500 credit for those who are in business and are commercial customers. The credit will appear as a line right on your WAPA bill stating Yes CARES Act credit. The credit only applies to active, that's a very important part, active electrical accounts and cannot be converted to cash. These credits, as I said, will appear in your May billing cycle. If the credit is not fully utilized this month, you won't lose the dollar. It'll roll right over into the June bill. So rest assured that you will be getting this credit. Look out for it on your WAPA bill. We're paying this bill, as I said before, because the average bill for a consumer residential is about $167, so you get about a month and a half worth of billing from this credit to ease this time in the pandemic and the economic hardships that many of our residents are going through. Businesses, you will get $500 credit. The average business electrical bill is actually $507, so you'll get just about an average 1-month bill on 1-month credit on your commercial bill. The Sba Paycheck Program is on the way again. I'm pleased to announce that as of 10:30 a.m. this morning, the U.S. Small Business Association will be accepting applications from small business owners in the territory for loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. Additional funding for this program was recently appropriated by Congress. That was this weekend. So we look forward to you going out there and using this. But a lot of you already have, and to date, 240 Virgin Island businesses have received more than $62 million under the Payroll Protection Plan. I want to encourage all of you, all the small businesses, to please take advantage of this program. I also want to remind business owners that SBA will forgive the loans if all employees are kept on the payroll for 8 weeks and the money is used for rent, mortgage, interest, or utilities. I just want to make sure that I put in that note there that even if you have laid off your employees already, I am to understand you can bring them back from the date and still pay them for the 8 weeks, and you have to use 75% of the money you borrow to pay employees. The other 25% could be attached to mortgage and utilities. So this is free money. The other part of this I think is important for businesses is, remember, all of this unemployment will count against you in the long run, because the unemployment insurance that your employees are accessing is the unemployment account for your business. Taking this loan not only eases the burden on the unemployment account, but it also helps employees to get money faster, and it also helps the businesses continue to keep their doors open during this great pandemic. We also are going to have a lot of things coming down this week. One of them is the extension of the state of emergency. The current stay-at-home order that we have, it expires on Thursday, April 30th at 12 midnight. I know a lot of you, when we gave the beach order, instead of going the day after, you went on April 23rd exactly. It actually should have been till midnight of the 23rd. So don't start coming out of your house on the 30th. It's effective until midnight on April 30th, the stay-at-home order. And we'll be issuing a new order that will be described a phased opening approach to non-essential businesses and the guidelines that they will be subject to. Our intention is to begin reopening the local economy. When I say the local economy, the economy that Virgin Islanders enjoy in preparation for eventually returning access to the outside world. I know there are mixed opinions on the best path forward. I hear all yours. I read them on social media. I get the texts. I get the emails. But I think our approach has to be thought of as a three-legged stool. On one leg, you represent your safety, your family's safety, and the concerns of public health. Another leg represents our economic concerns, because we have to be able to get the economy running again and be able to make revenue in order to pay the bills that the government and you have. And the third leg represents our concerns around individual and personal freedom. One of the things that we debate a lot is there is a social public responsibility that you have to yourself. There are freedoms that you are guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States that we weigh in accordance on all those three things. So the public safety, the economic concern, and the right for people, Americans, to move about freely. In order to get this done, though, and get it done in a way that we all can live with safely, we have to figure out how to get those three things work in concert. Over the next few weeks and perhaps months, we will try to optimize the balance of those three things. That will require some trial and probably some error as we approach the phased reopening. We will take things one step at a time. And if we find that we're heading in a direction that is wrong too quickly for our community, we will fall back to the prior restrictions. Our progress depends on the cooperation of the general public. That's you. Part of our rollout system will include an alert system And we will try to make our decisions and reasons for those decisions as clear and as transparent as possible. We want to be able for you to have a confidence and a faith that you're getting the truth and the best information we could provide at all times. During the next 2 weeks, we will also be sending various legislation for consideration to the 33rd legislature. It is important that we start to adjust for this economic storm because it's going to be great. This economic storm lies ahead of us, and life with COVID is going to be the reality for the foreseeable future. One of the actions that we will be taking is to change the definition of in-person in the VI code. When most of the requirements for boards and commissions, and even the legislature, were conceived, we did not have the benefit of many of the technological advances of today's world. In person could only be manifested in person by actually showing up at the meeting. Today, one is ever present no matter where you are in the world by instant messaging, photo, and video. It is past time that our law reflects these technological advancements, and the current situation that we are in mandates that we adjust to do so post-haste. First, we will do so by executive order, and it is our hope that the legislation we have crafted will be adopted into law. This is necessary for us to continue to make timely decisions no matter where we are in this entire world. We have taken the first step in this change in the latest addendum to the executive order state of emergency. It allows for the waiving of this in-person requirement for notaries. The executive order issued last week allows notaries to certify documents using live video and a valid photo ID. This is incredibly monumental and landmark in what we do, because by statute, many of our boards and commissions, including the Public Finance Authority, requires that the person be in person. When we make this executive order and this plea to the legislature, now board members can conduct business via video conference, via teleconference, and be right there to make decisions when they need to be made. We will also be transmitting the request to extend our state of emergency to July 12th to the legislature, as is required now by the law. Currently, the law only allows us to request a 30-day extension. We are asking the legislature to consider it 60 days due to the infrequency of the hearings and the fact that we will most likely be in this state of emergency for the balance of the summer. Tomorrow, we will be sending a revision to the cannabis legislation to the legislature. We have taken the time to go through and get the public's input, as well as address the concerns that were outlined by legislators, not only in the hearings, but in meetings that we had subsequent to our initial proposal. As the economic disaster in the last few weeks has created terrible economic turmoil and has affected the GRS greatly, it is our hope that we can have a greater sense of exigency and urgency in implementing all the things that can help us regain solvency for our system as well as our economy. Once again, this piece of legislation is certainly not a panacea, but certainly cutting the annuity of our retirees by 30% cannot be the path either. We grow increasingly frustrated by the federal treasury and their failure to issue policy or to administer the stimulus funds to Puerto Rico or the territories. We are calling on the delegate to help us to get these funds, to get them to us faster, because we are not second-class citizens here in the Virgin Islands, and we are quite tired of being treated as such by Washington. The latest conversations indicate that the payments will be delayed until the end of May or June. This is unacceptable, and we will continue to work with the delegate and our lobbyists in Washington to help to get this thing done. And what we're talking about here is because of the different tax systems in Puerto Rico and also in Guam, American Samoa, the Virgin Islands, they have to apply their priority differently. How will they distribute Social Security? Will they include veterans in their disbursement, or will they include it in ours? Puerto Rico has been working with them for the last several weeks and have not seemed to be making movement towards getting their payment done. And they're telling us that we're after Puerto Rico. But we can't wait. We have a mirror tax system, and there should be no reason why we shouldn't have that money right here and ready to go. The checks, in the checklist and the rolls are ready to go. So as soon as we get those funds, we will be rolling them out to you, who really needs to get that money in this time of COVID-19 pandemic. But the reality is it's going to be a while before we get through this. And we have to be trusting, and I'm going to ask you to be brave and trust the administration and the professionals in your community that have gotten us thus far. This is totally uncharted water that we have here. No one has been here before, and we are adjusting to the virus and the myriad of situations that it creates almost by the minute. It was always our goal to flatten the curve, and we have been very successful. But the reality is that we still have peaks and valleys all along this terrible journey. We have adjusted our peak time based on what we're seeing in the community. And the reality of that is that we will always have the potential for peaks in our system if we don't manage this virus properly. I would like to remind the public that we were never closed. So come Friday, we are not reopening, but just broadening the scope of what businesses and recreation can be conducted safely. We will continue to be vigilant and use all the information and resources we have to grow the economy, respect your personal freedom, and most of all, keep you and your family safe. I'll end my presentation here, but we have the Director of the Energy Office, Mr. Fleming, here to share with you some tips on how to keep your light bill low while we go through this pandemic of COVID-19. Director Fleming.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fleming, Director of the Virgin Islands Energy Office. And in addition to the YES Energy Subsidy, the Virgin Islands Energy Office, as well as the administration, is committed to supporting and helping the community of the Virgin Islands practice best energy efficiency measures and make those investments as well to ensure that we can reduce the amount of increasing cost associated with the stay-at-home orders that are present today. We understand that through working from home, homeschooling, lack of social activities, people will be spending more time at home, which will ultimately result in increase to your WAPA bills. So in that, we want to ensure that even some of these best practices, while people are at home and have better time to be more energy vigilant around their home, that we provide some support in providing some best practices to incorporate in those new routines that we've become accustomed to. One of the areas of particular concern is within cooling. People are spending time at home during the hottest parts of the day. We understand that now maintaining that level of comfort while you work or homeschool is important, but understanding that excessive use of air conditioning as well as other unnatural cooling methods are going to increase your electricity bills as well. As a result, we certainly want to promote the proper sizing of your air conditioning units for your home and in the specific rooms in which they're cooling, as well as changing their filters regularly. You're going to have to work harder, or you have to use them more, so we want to make sure that they're not working harder than they need to be, which will ultimately end up in higher cost to you as a consumer as well. Also recommending that setting a thermostat for your AC between 75 and 78 degrees, which may be warmer than some are accustomed to. However, in the interest of extended use time during the stay-at-home order, it's important that we minimize, once again, those high energy users within the home. Another area is cooking. With limits to restaurants as well as additional time at home, people are cooking more. One of the suggestions that we believe would be helpful is this trying to limit the reoccurring cooking on a daily basis and trying to provide more long-term meal prepping for the week instead of constantly cooking, and which also not only increases your energy usage, but also will increase the temperature of the home on a regular basis. So if you can, not everybody has access to, but if you're able to grill outdoors, that will also reduce your energy usage, as well as reduce the increased temperature within the home that you're constantly trying to mitigate while staying at home more often. And in terms of water heating, once again, more people at home, more families at home, more showers, more washing of hands. Just be vigilant in regards to your water heating. Their water heaters will continue to heat if they're on and the water is being used. So if there are times where hot water isn't necessary and you have the option to either manually switch off your water heater or install a water timer that will control when the water heater is on, once again reducing the impact and the additional cost associated with providing those luxuries within your home. In addition to the water temperature, we also want to look at mitigating some of the excessive water use. So trying to limit washing loads of laundry to compiling them and aggregating them into one sitting, as opposed to the reoccurring washing of clothes is one way, as well as ensuring that you're using Energy Star appliances and Energy Star dryers as well, as much as possible. A lot of the suggestions that we incorporate do require the investment in energy efficient appliances, and the Energy Office also has and wants to remind the community of the energy efficiency and renewable energy rebate program the Energy Office has available. It's a 40% rebate that goes towards the purchase of eligible appliances. We have a long list of equipment that qualifies for the program, and one of the ways that we also want to try to promote the use of this rebate and this incentive is as time progresses and the stimulus checks are being distributed throughout the territory, we want to remind individuals the way to make your stimulus check go a little bit further. If you do make the choice to invest in energy efficient appliances with your stimulus funds, you can then receive a rebate for those appliances that you purchased, which you could then reinvest into and really stretch the stimulus check as far as you can by utilization within for purchasing energy efficient appliances. Within that, we want to communicate also the Energy Office has offices on St. Croix and St. Thomas. If there's any questions for any additional information or additional tips, please feel free to contact the St. Croix office at 340-713-8436 or the St. Thomas office at 714-8436. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Fleming. We'll now take some questions from the press. We have about 5 questions there. I know we said a lot of information today, so you could open up the phone lines. We are available. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Robert.
Hi. No, this is Sba over at the St. Croix.
Oh, hi, Sba.
Sure, I just have 2 questions. So the first one is that 2 weeks have passed since the Department of Education said that they were, well, more than 2 weeks have passed since the Department of Education said they would be distributing MiFi internet devices, Chromebook laptops, and things to the students that said that they needed it. I'm wondering if we have any update on when that will happen. And then also, there is another WhatsApp rumor going around right now stating that a number of nurses at JFL have tested positive for COVID-19. I was wondering if the Commissioner of the Department of Health could speak to that, if any staff at any of the hospitals in the territory have come down with COVID-19. Thank you.
On the first question, I don't have, I'll go and check up on that. I don't have any update on that. I'll see what the holdup is, if there is any. And I'll let the Health Commissioner address the second question.
Good afternoon, everyone. There actually have been a couple of positives within the hospital system, and I can't specifically say which hospital that we're speaking of. That is, I think, a situation that we prefer not to at this point in time. However, more importantly than that, I think it's important to let everyone know that the Division of Epidemiology, under the tutelage of Esther Ellis, who's our territory epidemiologist, is in contact, and actually today we have a meeting with them as well. And we are going to be discussing infection control practices with them. I think that it's always good for us to step back and to see exactly what educational opportunities there are. I think that both hospitals have done a tremendous job thus far. And you hear in the news that, and that's why we actually ask for everyone to ensure that we have the adequate PPEs or personal protective equipment secured for hospital employees, because they come in contact with positive patients on a daily basis, if not so on a weekly basis, and it's always a risk that they take, and because of that, we want to continue to protect them. And yes, so the answer to that question is yes, but we have it under control, just to let you know. We are re-educating the staff at this point in time. We are protecting the ones that have been positive, and we'll continue to do that.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Other questions?
Good afternoon. This is Sheila Burke with TV2 News 2.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. My question is, Governor, in preparation, I know that you're going to use due diligence in terms of reopening the economy, and you're going to take some really serious steps as it relates to having visitors enter the territory. With that as may, what preparation steps are going to be put in place? I know that the National Guards have been trained in terms of taking temperature for incoming visitors, but let's say, Governor, that an incoming visitor, and again, I'm just moving it forward, an incoming visitor has been diagnosed with a high temperature upon arrival. What are going to be the proper steps in terms of the process in dealing with that? If we have something in place right now, or are these things that are going to be or is the process going to be evaluated so that we can have best practices put in place as we begin to open up the economy with passengers eventually?
So thank you, Sarah. We already have that in place. Currently at the airports, we are doing the temperature checks. We haven't had anyone come back with a high temperature as yet and had to be secured. But the policy that we've put in place is that person would be separated from the rest of the passengers. We would contact the Department of Health and either transport them to someplace where we can get them tested, or the department would send an epidemiologist to the airport and test them in place. If they were to be tested positive, then that person would have to be quarantined away for 14 days or until the virus passes. So we are already on that. Other things that we're doing is Director Dawa, the Port Authority, did get some funding as well to go ahead and put down some temperature sensing cameras. So they're scoping out the work now on where that would go and the costs, and trying to get those in the territory. But we don't really see expanding our outside visitor capability, at least until mid-May, best case scenario.
Thank you so much, Governor.
No more questions? Go ahead.
Hi, Governor. How are you? This is John Marino from Reorg Research. I was just wondering if you have identified other potential uses for the $75 million in the coronavirus relief fund besides the energy program, if there's other things that you've decided to spend the money on?
Certainly. One of the things that we're doing is we mentioned on Friday, was that Friday? Yeah, Friday, that we're actually giving the passenger ferries a subsidy, as they have been hit hard by the spacing incurred to get passengers from St. Thomas to St. John and back. That has been that's a vital part of our transportation. We normally give them a subsidy anyway or annually, but we have just took this opportunity to give it to them. We've created a sort of a transportation fund in order for seniors and those people who are disabled to get back and forth from the grocery stores, as well as the essential functions like the doctor. We've also created a set aside to set up, and we'll be announcing that soon, grants to nonprofits for feeding and people who may be in our community that don't have access to food stamps or to unemployment checks, or undocumented citizens, and helping them get some assistance. We also have some looks at helping those agencies that are doing it already, like my brother's workshop, who is functioning on a $600,000 grant from the Department of Human Services in order to provide some of that. So those are some other programs. But the one thing that we're trying to do now is to leave the majority of this money available, because we don't know what's going to happen as we come into the summer and back into the fall, because no one is sure really if this virus is going away or if we're going to have another recurrence of this extreme time when we have to shut down the entire economy. So we just want to make sure we're pacing ourselves with those federal dollars, and at the same time making sure we have accountability across the board and we're doing the right thing and making people report what it is that they have done with the cash, including all receipts and a plan before they get anything started.
Okay, thank you, Governor.
Next.
Governor Ernest Gubert, Consortium.
Hi, Ernest.
Hi, Gov. Before I ask you a few questions here, I want to ask the Department of Health Commissioner two questions. The first is, give us an update on the territory's testing capacity. As we know, in order to really beat this virus, we got to have, mass testing, widespread testing. I'd like an update on that. And relative to the first responders who tested positive, the nurses and the medical staff, in generality, can you give us a number of those who tested positive? Thank you. And then I'll go to the governor.
Good morning, good afternoon again, everyone. Ernest, I'll answer your first question in regards to our testing capabilities. Right now, we actually have a total of around maybe 2,000 sampling kits available. We were able to get some around 700 a couple weeks ago, and we were getting 380 in on a weekly basis. So we're able to keep up with all of the requirements thus far. One of the things in reference to mass testing, we're working with two entities. ProHealth has offered us a space to do general testing, as well as we've spoken with Walgreens and St. Thomas, and we're looking for two other areas and trying to work along with private clinical labs to ensure that we can actually test through them. So until we get to that point, then we're unable to mass testing. We want to make sure that we maintain the number of tests required in us to be able to test the ones that are symptomatic and or those that have been in contact with those that have become positive. In reference to your second question, the total number of clinical staff that has been tested positive, there are 2. We have had individuals in the past as well, and so it's very difficult to say, but like I said, I'm not going to tell you exactly or say exactly where those tests have been positive. I know that you're very inquisitive, as many of you are out there, but I think it's also important for us to protect who we are as a community. So I'll stand by that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Dov, I have a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
First, relative to, I'm hearing an echo, but first, relative to there's been an increase in robberies, Governor Tory Wright. Just Sunday, there was a robbery at Breeze's restaurant, and there's been some at various restaurants here, fast food chains. Some might be saying this might be one of the effects of the virus and the effect what that's done to our economy. has the BIPD implemented any strategy to probably see a surge in enforcement as it relates to robberies and light crimes?
We know that these economic type crimes are going to happen during this period. I am not aware of any specific strategy, but I could get with the commissioner and fill you in on that in terms of robberies. And I'm not really aware. I know we like to judge these things by what we hear, but statistically, I don't know if there is an increase. I know that we have had a rash of robberies, a couple of armed robberies, Kentucky Fried Chicken, among them the young lady who was at Breeze's restaurant. But I'll go back and take a look to see if there really is an increase in this rash of robberies and if the commissioner has a specific strategy in addressing them. But this is one of the reasons why we want to get these stimulus checks here, why we want to make sure that Treasury speeds up getting these dollars to us, because we understand people are really hurt out there. Not that it's an excuse to commit robberies, but this is a reality of our community. So getting people back out, getting them back to work, getting some checks and money in their hand is one of our utmost priorities.
Thanks, Gavin. And this helps me pivot to my next question. I mean, you mentioned that Treasury might be delaying stimulus check payments to the territories. You said probably even as late as June there. But there's been other provisions through unemployment benefits, federal unemployment benefits that have been made available to the territory. And so we're talking about one of the more prominent ones is the $600 on top of local benefits, as well as payments to gig economy workers, also those who are self-employed and those whose salaries did not qualify them for regular unemployment payments. The last time I spoke to the Department of Labor ago, they said it would be a few weeks before implementation of the federal program. And so I would like an update on that, Bob, as to what is the administration doing to hasten the implementation of the federal program so that residents could see some relief there.
Well, we have at least 21 people that we have been assigned now to the department just to help to get out the regular unemployment checks that have been filed. As I mentioned in my last report, we've had more unemployment claims filed in a month than we usually have filed in an entire year. But as a former labor commissioner, I can tell you it's not only about getting out the check, you have to get the computer program to recognize how the check must be, how the check must be issued, and that is a huge problem. So they're working with the programmers now to get that done, and that is usually the delay on getting this $600 out. Right now, we're just focused on getting everybody a check, and people have nothing to fear. It's retroactive. I think it goes back all the way to March or February. You're going to get your money out as soon as possible. But a lot of states have crashed their systems. They can't even function anymore from the amount of claims that have been submitted. Ours is still running. We just need to get the extra programming done so we can have that $600 out to you.
Thanks. I have two more questions, but let me follow up on this quickly. Do you have a number on, I know...
He's going to start to think it's a conspiracy. He always gets cuts off. Could you, I think we lost him. Is he on the line? Ernest. We always lose him. Next question. That's it. Just want to thank everybody for the diligence. I know I got a lot of calls this weekend about the beaches. Some of you are not behaving. We don't want to shut down the beaches. Please do not make us do it. I was out at Kramer's Park this weekend at about 8 in the morning, and there was only about 2 or 3 people, other groups there on the beach. Just please try to social distance. You know you've been pent up for a while. I know it's Carnival Week. I know it's hard going through this, but we're trying to keep you safe. We don't want to have to keep this stay-at-home order in place for another month. We want to be able to continue to relax the restrictions on the community, but we can't do that if people don't know how to act. And the innocent people are going to feel the pressure from the guilty ones, the ones who are out there misbehaving and not doing the right thing. This is a life and death matter. Even if you don't care about yourself, care about your family, your grandma, your auntie, who you're going to take it home to. You never forgive yourself. So try your best out there. You take your dip. Don't carry food on the beach. Don't carry drinks. Take a dip. Get in your car. Take a soak. Go home. Try to stay away from people as much as possible. It's not going to be forever, but for the foreseeable future, we have to do our best to control the virus, to manage this pandemic, so that we can open up to our economy again with everyone safe and everyone being able to enjoy this beautiful Virgin Islands. Have a fantastic afternoon. God bless you. God bless the Virgin Islands. And don't forget, right immediately following that, we'll have the Spanish version of this presentation. Have a good day.
O fatiga, especialmente si ha viajado recientemente al territorio o ha estado alrededor de alguien que puede tener el virus, por favor, llame a los números de la línea directa del Departamento de Salud. Esos números son 340-712-6299 para los residentes en Santa Cruz y 340-776-1519 para los residentes en el distrito de St. Thomas, St. John. Seguimos tomando medidas para mitigar las consecuencias económicas de la pandemia COVID-19. Nuestro Departamento del Trabajo ha estado desembolsando agresivamente los cheques de desempleo. Hasta ahora han emitido 1.595 cheques por un total sobre $1 millón. Hoy me complace anunciar que hemos asignado los 15 millones para proporcionar alivio a los clientes de energía eléctrica de WAPA bajo nuestro programa YES. El crédito de la ley YES Cares o su estímulo de emergencia proporcionará a los clientes residenciales un crédito de $250 en su factura de electricidad y un crédito de $500 en las facturas de los clientes comerciales. El crédito reaparecerá o aparecerá como una línea en la factura mensual que indica crédito de la ley CARES Yes. El crédito solo se aplica a las cuentas activas de energía eléctrica y no se puede convertir en efectivo. Estos créditos aparecerán en el ciclo de facturación de mayo. Si el crédito no se utiliza completamente en la factura de mayo, el saldo se transferirá a la factura del mes siguiente. También me complace anunciar que a partir de las 10:30 de esta mañana, la Asociación de Pequeñas Empresas de los Estados Unidos estará aceptando solicitudes en el territorio de propietarios de pequeñas empresas para préstamos de programa de protección de cheques de pago, el PPP, bajo las siglas en inglés. Recientemente, el Congreso apropió fondos adicionales para este programa. Hasta la fecha, 240 empresas de las Islas Vírgenes han recibido más de 62 millones bajo la PPP. Quiero animar a todas las pequeñas empresas a aprovechar este programa. También quiero recordar a los propietarios de negocios de SBA que SBA perdonará los préstamos si todos los empleados se mantienen en la nómina durante las 8 semanas y el dinero se utiliza para alquilar o para el alquiler, intereses hipotecarios o servicios públicos. Como usted bien sabe, la orden actual de quédate en casa expira el 30 de abril. Emitiremos un nuevo pedido que describirá la reapertura gradual de los negocios no esenciales y las directrices a las que estarán sujetos. Nuestra intención es comenzar a reabrir la economía local en preparación para eventualmente tener un acceso al mundo exterior. Sé que hay opiniones encontradas sobre el mejor camino hacia adelante. Pienso en nuestro enfoque como un taburete de 3 patas. Una pierna representa su seguridad y las preocupaciones de la salud pública. Una pierna representa nuestras preocupaciones económicas y la tercera representa nuestras preocupaciones con respecto a la libertad personal. Para ser efectivos, los tres deben trabajar en concierto. En las próximas semanas y tal vez meses, trataremos de optimizar el equilibrio de estas preocupaciones. Eso requerirá algún ensayo y error. A medida que nos acercamos a esta reapertura gradual, tomaremos las cosas paso a paso. Si encontramos que vamos en la dirección equivocada como comunidad, recurriremos a las restricciones anteriores. Nuestro progreso depende de la cooperación del público en general. Parte de nuestro despliegue incluirá un sistema de alerta y trataremos de que nuestras decisiones y las razones de esas decisiones sean las más ciertas, claras y transparentes posibles. Durante las próximas 2 semanas, enviaremos a la legislatura varias leyes para su consideración. Es importante que empecemos a ajustarnos a la tormenta económica que tenemos por delante y a una vida con COVID-19. Una de las acciones que tomaremos es cambiar la definición de en persona en el Código de las Islas Vírgenes. Cuando se concebió la mayoría de los requisitos presenciales para los consejos de administración y las comisiones e incluso la legislatura, no teníamos el beneficio de los muchos avances tecnológicos del mundo actual. En persona solo se podía manifestar apareciendo a la reunión. Hoy en día, uno está siempre presente sin importar dónde se encuentre. En el mundo por mensajes instantáneos, telefónicos y video. Ya es hora que nuestra ley refleje estos avances tecnológicos y la situación actual exige que se ajuste. En primer lugar, lo haremos por orden ejecutiva y esperamos que la medida que hemos elaborado se apruebe en ley. Esto es necesario para que sigamos tomando decisiones oportunas sin importar dónde estemos en el mundo. Hemos dado el primer paso en este cambio en el último adendum a la orden ejecutiva, que permite la renuncia a este requisito en persona para los notarios públicos. La orden ejecutiva emitida la semana pasada permite a los notarios certificar documentos mediante video en vivo y una identificación con foto válida. También transmitiremos a la legislatura la solicitud de extender la orden ejecutiva hasta el 12 de julio, como lo exige la ley. Actualmente, la ley solo nos permite solicitar una prórroga de 30 días. Estamos pidiendo a la legislatura que considere 60 días debido a la infrecuencia de las vistas legislativas y el hecho de la probabilidad que estemos en este estado de emergencia por el balance del verano. Mañana enviaremos a la legislatura la legislación revisada sobre el cannabis. Hemos tomado tiempo para reunir más aportaciones públicas, así como para abordar las preocupaciones de los legisladores, como el desastre económico que ha sido creado en las últimas semanas, ha afectado enormemente el sistema de retiro, GERS. Esperamos que podamos tener un mayor sentido de exigencia en la implementación de todas las cosas que nos pueda ayudar a recuperar la solvencia. Una vez más, no es la panacea, pero sin duda cortar la anualidad de los jubilados a un 30% tampoco puede ser el camino. Nos frustra cada vez más el Tesoro Federal y su incapacidad para emitir las guías y políticas para la administración de los fondos de estímulo a Puerto Rico y los demás territorios. Pedimos a la delegada del Congreso que nos ayude a conseguir estos fondos prontamente. No somos ciudadanos de segunda clase y estamos cansados de ser tratados como tales. Las últimas conversaciones indican que los pagos se retrasarán hasta finales de mayo o junio. Esto es inaceptable y continuaremos trabajando en obtener este dinero para nuestros residentes. Pasará un tiempo antes de que atravesemos esto y debemos ser confiados y valientes para lograrlo. Nadie ha estado aquí antes y nos estamos adaptando cada minuto al virus y a la infinidad de situaciones que éste ha creado. Siempre fue nuestro objetivo aplanar la curva y hemos tenido mucho éxito, pero la realidad es que tendremos picos y valles a lo largo del camino. Hemos ajustado nuestro tiempo pico en función de lo que vemos en la comunidad y la realidad de que siempre tendremos la amenaza de picos si no gestionamos el virus correctamente. Me gustaría recordar al público que nunca estuvimos cerrados. Así que este viernes no estaremos reabriendo, sino simplemente ampliando el alcance de los negocios y la recreación siempre y cuando estos se lleven a cabo de forma segura. Seguiremos vigilantes y utilizaremos toda la información y los recursos que debemos tomar para agrandar la economía, respetar su libertad personal y, lo más importante, mantenernos a usted y a su familia a salvo. Gracias.